Come on, this is not a Republican fundraiser. Good morning. Good morning. Let's have a little noise here. It's exciting. It's a beautiful day. Hillary Clinton's going to be the next president. It doesn't get any better than that. Mr. Chairman. Well, I thank you all for coming out this morning. We've had a great day here at the Clinton School. We had some students this morning. If any of the parents here, apologize because I told them all to leave school and go out and work on the presidential campaign. So I apologize to the parents here. Keep writing the checks to Skip. But I thank you for having me. I want to thank Skip Rutherford for bringing me down here to do this today. As you know, I'm here for 2 days. Yesterday I came in and we opened our new headquarters here in Little Rock. The earliest a candidate has ever run for president in the primaries to open an office in Little Rock, Arkansas. We had a sellout crowd, standing room only. And my point to everybody yesterday is Arkansas is going to make sure that Hillary Clinton is the nominee, and then Arkansas will be a blue state in 2008. Now, Skip did say this is a school, and Terry, it can't be too partisan or anything. I'll be honest, it's hard for me, folks. I apologize in advance. But I'll do the best I can, Skip, and I want to thank you for the great work. And to you, Tim, thank you for that great introduction. You never put $20 or anything in front of me and not think I'm going to take that. So just consider that a great donation to the Hillary campaign for president. And I do apologize about Notre Dame this year. My father was a big Notre Dame grad. All he talked about was Notre Dame. He passed away in New Year's Eve 2000. And at the funeral, actually, President Clinton and Hillary came up, and the president gave one of the eulogies. And I said in my remarks, my father, they said, why did he die? I said, well, he could not go into a new year with a Republican going back into the White House. But Bill Clinton was very impressed because they did the Notre Dame fight song when they carried his casket out. So it was a great event. Actually, as long as we're talking about my father's funeral, so the president came up and Hillary in a blizzard in Syracuse. And my father hated dogs. And we as children always wanted a dog, but Mr. Attorney General, how are you? He kept me out too late. You and the governor kept me out way too late, and Khaki and Max, wherever you are. Man, I tell you. So anyways, so my father hated dogs and would never let us have one as children. So at my father's funeral, we're at the funeral home just before we're going to close the casket and take it down to the church where the president and first lady were. And as we were standing there, Irish wakes, all the boys, 4 boys, have a shot of Irish whiskey, which is something we always do. Just before they closed the casket, in came the United States Secret Service because the casket would be placed next to the President of the United States of America. Behind the Secret Service are 2 bomb-sniffing dogs. And they start sniffing my father's casket, of course, to make sure there's no bombs. And the dog, the German Shepherd, jumps up on the casket, sniffs inside, and then sniffs my father's face. So his last vision on earth was a big German Shepherd. And they closed the casket. And I always said, as I toast, I said, paybacks are hell, Dad. So it was actually good. But I do have a book out now. It's a great book. I see many of you have it. You can't get enough, folks. Christmas is coming up and all that. I spent a year writing the book. It took a lot of work. It's about my life in politics, young kid in politics. I had the greatest life in the world. I say right up front, for folks, first, this is my book about my life. So, 1, I make myself look good. I'll do that next book when I die. Second, the Clintons are my best friends, and I write about them as you would write about your best friends. And if you're not happy with that, then ask for a refund. But if you're okay with that, I think you will love the book. It's done great. It tied for 4 on the New York Times bestseller list, and for over a month it was #1 in Washington. I tell stories, as Tim said, that nobody else would dare tell. But, you know, I grew up in Syracuse, started my first business at 14, started a couple dozen companies. And I got lucky. I got fortunate. And by the time I was 35, I basically retired. And I have spent the last 15 years as a full-time volunteer in politics. When I was chairman of the party, I didn't take any pay. And I like it that way because you can tell people exactly what you think. And the worst thing they can do, go ahead and fire me. You ain't pay me. What do I care? But, you know, I've just had such a rich life. And I tell all the great stories in the book. And I tell a lot about the Clintons. As you probably know, I had almost every job you could have with Bill and Hillary Clinton. I was one of the chairs of his reelect. I was his finance chair. I chaired the convention in 2000. I chaired the inauguration in 97. I chaired the millennium. I love the Clintons, but boy, they are the most expensive friends I've ever had. And now I'm chairman of Hillary's campaign, so I'm still doing it, but I love doing it. But you'll have a lot of great stories in the book, a lot of great stories about the president and Hillary. And I tell one great story that Hillary and I were spending Thanksgiving at Camp David, and she and I were off walking along the cart paths there. There's no carts, all cart paths. And it was time for dinner, and my son Jack came out in a golf cart to pick us up, to bring us back for dinner. And as he comes up the road, Hillary and I are walking down the path. My son, who was probably 8 at the time, instead of hitting the brake, he hits the gas and proceeds to hit the First Lady of the United States of America going about 25 miles an hour. Now, let me give you some advice, folks. This is not good for one's career, to kill the First Lady of the United States of America. So as she's hit and flies through the air, I'm thinking my career has just gone through the air. And she goes down, hits a hill, and tumbles down, and I run down, and I pick her up, and we're dusting her off and getting the branches and the grass off her. And so she comes back up the hill and looks at my son, who's dying, and says, "Now, Jack, did Bill teach you to drive?" The poor kid, but he's gotten over that. And I tell some great stories. Tim mentioned, the president and I did do a lot of golfing when he was president. And to be honest with you, it's intimidating golfing with the president of the United States of America because you have the press corps with you. And the press is allowed on the first tee and the 18th green. That's it. So when you tee off, there's about 100 cameras taking your picture. I'd get up, hit first. I'd hit it 350 right down the middle. Well, maybe 125 off to the left. But the president would get up, and when you golf with the president, when he's president, there's Secret Service everywhere, hundreds, and they're all in the woods. They got the black outfits on and the big binoculars. But there are advantages to being president, so the president would get up and, he'd fire it out of bounds to the right. But when you have Secret Service, all of a sudden, ball come flying back in the fairway. Great hit, Mr. President. Oh, thank you, Mark, thank you. But the best always was when you got to the greens, and I'd chip up, he'd chip up, we'd write up in the card, he'd have about a 30-footer, I'd have a 2-footer. He'd look and say, "Mac, good, good." I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. President, pick it up. You never miss a 25-footer. Boy, sir, that was a great birdie you had. But it's great now, folks. I played with him last Thursday, and I'm proud to announce I've played him 4 times in the last 6 weeks, and on 4 straight occasions, I have now beaten him by 1 stroke. That's what happens when you are a former president of the United States of America. And it's the president and I and 2 guys in a golf cart, Secret Service with water pistols. I mean, it's a pretty good deal now. And so the president said, "Terry, what's the worst thing happened to Bill Clinton since he left office?" I say 3 words: "Put it out." So now the good, no more good. So, it's a whole new world for Bill Clinton. But I send you his best. It's great to be here at the Clinton School and great to see this beautiful library, which most of you probably know I was in charge of the fundraising for the library. Going to my point, the most expensive friends I've ever had. We started out, I think, Skip, it was supposed to be a $30 million structure. And I would sit in that White House and bang my fist down. We're not going to spend a penny over $50 million. We stopped counting when it got over 100, let me tell you that. But it is spectacular. I think it's one of the greatest presidential libraries in the country. So it's great for me to be back in Little Rock. I love Arkansas. This is a very important state for us in this year's presidential election. Let me give you a little update on what's happening on the campaign. It is extraordinary how well Hillary Clinton is doing today. It's going to be a very fast calendar, and I apologize. This thing is going to be over probably, folks, in 3.5 months. We open up with Iowa, which is now the 14th, but the word is they're now going to move up to January 3rd or 5th. You're going to be holiday shopping, and we're going to be tossing bumper stickers into all your bags. And I think New Hampshire moves up. So literally, folks, in 3 months, we could be done with Iowa and New Hampshire. Think about that. I remind you, it was just, what was it? It was about a week ago, 16 years ago, that Bill Clinton announced for President of the United States, October 3rd. Hillary Clinton has been in this battle now for 9 months, which she likes to remind the president of all the time. But she's been out there campaigning. I remind you, in 1960, Jack Kennedy didn't even announce till January. It could be over by the time Jack Kennedy got in the race. But she's out there traveling every day. There are of the 37 primaries and caucuses that we have right now, today, Hillary Clinton is leading in 35 of 37 states, folks. That has never... That has never happened before in the first early contests of Iowa, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Carolina. We're leading in all 4 of those today. poll out over the weekend has us winning in Iowa. I don't think, honestly, we're winning in Iowa. I think we're in second place. We're doing great. We're moving. But we're in great position. On February 5th, we have Arkansas and New York and California, Illinois, New Jersey. I will predict to you today, folks, it is over on February 5th. So in less than 4 months, the nomination will be over. There is no way you can have this many big states on one day. 25 states, 54% of the delegates on February 5th. It's over, and I think on both sides it will be over. And she's doing great on those February 5th states. But I can tell you, and I was meeting with Skip this morning, why did we open this headquarters? And I know Robert McCarty's probably here and others who are, we needed to show that we are here in Arkansas to win it in the primary, but we're here to win it in the general election. We have to make this a blue state, and as I said in the paper today, Arkansas is our crown jewel of our Southern strategy. So we're here, we are here to stay. We have to win this state of Arkansas. It is critical for us. And people say to me a lot of times, now Terry, and I go to about 10 cities a week as the chairman of the campaign. I'm all over the country. And people say to me all the time, well, I like Hillary, but, you know, can she win the general election? I'm sure you all hear that all the time. But let me be clear today, folks. Hillary Clinton is the only Democrat who wins the general election today. She has double-digit leads all over the country. We win every state that Al Gore and John Kerry won. Every state. Now, how do you win it? You have to win Ohio. We got close last time. You know, we had 5.8 million votes cast. We lost by 119,000 votes. If John had shifted just 60,000 votes, he'd be president of the United States today. Where's Hillary winning today in the general election? Every Gore, every Kerry state. But today we're winning Arkansas. We are winning Florida, Kentucky, Virginia, Iowa, Ohio, and New Mexico, folks. So don't tell me, can Hillary win the general election? She's the only one who does it. Not some of the other Democrats, they get beat by Rudy Giuliani in California and New York. And I can tell you, if you have to spend $50 million defending ourselves in blue states, that's a lot of work. So she's doing great. Why is she doing great? Because people have watched those debates. And we got great candidates. I think it's the best field we've ever had collectively, all the candidates. I think it's our best. And I was chairman of the 04 group. This is a great group. And never speak ill of a Democrat, folks. We all got to be together. But when you watch those debates, one person stands out who could be Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America tomorrow. No on-the-job training needed for Hillary Clinton. And everyone said, yep, you're right. And her approval ratings have gone up. She is doing great. Now, I caution everybody. I've been here before. We got to run like we're 20 points down. And we are running a campaign like we're 20 points down in every single state. The general election's not today. We're going to reload on February 6th and get ready for the general. I don't know who we're running against. But right now in the primaries, we're looking great. But this is a campaign that is going to stay aggressive from now until Election Day. We don't ever sit around. This is not the group that does that. Hillary is working day in and day out. I've never seen anyone travel the way she does. And she likes to remind her husband, I think he was 42 when he ran. She turned 60 this month. And her schedule is hectic. But you know what? It's exciting for us. I think it's exciting that we finally can elect a woman president of the United States of America. Now, folks, they're not going to elect Hillary because she's a woman. They're going to elect her because she's smart, she's tough, and most importantly, she's got experience. That's why. But I can tell you, as a father of 5 and 3 young girls, nothing better for the image of the United States of America to have a woman president of the United States of America. Women are 54% of the vote in 2004. If we have a woman at the top of the ticket, do those numbers go up to 57, 58? And what we have to do is to make sure we register many 18 to 35-year-old women, because by far we win that percentage of women out there walking away. Now, it's going to be an exciting election, and I know some of you are actually going to Iowa. Has anyone signed up for the Arkansas Traveler Program? Great. Folks, anyone else? I mean, how many have been to Iowa? Wow, great. And there's nothing like it. I mean, why do you want to be down here in this weather when you could be up in December in Iowa? What are you, crazy? It's beautiful up there. But you know what? I need you up there, most importantly, because the issue up there for Hillary is people who have known Hillary for a long time to go up there and talk about Hillary, talk about her days here as First Lady, what kind of person she is, Likability, electability, always are key issues in elections. I need you folks to go up there. It's absolutely critical. She is doing great. I feel very excited about where we are, but I know we have an awful long way to go in this election. But you know what? I think we're going to have someone else from Arkansas is going to be president of the United States of America. We're going to win this state. And then when she gets in, health care for all Americans, fully fund education. We're going to get our troops out as fast and as safe as possible. And one of the first things she said she'd do when she's elected, she's going to send her president to the Middle East. Send him over there on a mission to begin to pull people together. And I promise you, Bill Clinton's probably the most popular man in the world today. And you get Bill Clinton over there talking about America, bringing different groups together, Saudi and Kuwait and Qatar, working with the Shia and the Sunni. We can get this thing put back together. I'm excited. Then again, I'm always excited. But I am excited with Hillary going in to think she can bring peace back to the Middle East. She can give every American health care coverage. She can fix the education system. She can get us off foreign dependence of oil. How exciting is that? And to have a woman be able to do it, and for you to have someone from Arkansas, folks, this is going to be spectacular. I was just thinking and I want to congratulate all of you, since I came down here, saw the beautiful new landscape, and I got thinking in my mind, oh my goodness, we got a long way to go, but if we get lucky enough, where are we going to do and how are we going to do this? We're still dealing with the Bill Clinton library, so I'm not going to worry about the Hillary Clinton. Listen, I'm hoping, I'm dying Hillary Clinton gets elected because it's great for the country. From a personal level, I am dying for her to get elected and I get appointed to a federal job. Why? Because then it would be a federal offense for me to ask anybody for money, folks. I tell you, I want to get hatched. You know, I've asked for a lot of money, billions of dollars, and you know, it is what it is. I mean, I apologize. I love asking people for money. I love it. What's the worst thing they can say? No, right? I've never been shot. I've never been thrown out of buildings. No, listen, if you took no as a final answer, you wouldn't get anywhere in life. I mean, back in high school, I used to ask girls out dates all the time. They always said no. That was just the opening deal for me. You had to go back and renegotiate and get them, and finally they said yes. So I've had a lot of practice in all this kind of stuff. But I talk about a lot of the great stories in the book, and the book is, you know, I'll be honest with you, in full disclosure, I did let the President Hillary read it because it's got a lot of personal stories in it before it went to the final print. And you got to love it, of course. Within 24 hours, Bill Clinton had read it and called me. Oh, Mac, this is the greatest book I've ever read. There's nothing like it else out there in America. Thank you, Mr. President. There you go. And I thought, I wonder if he's ever said that before. But he actually loved the book. But I was actually nervous. I didn't hear from Hillary for 2 weeks. I got a little nervous. It's like getting ready when I was taking the bar exam, you know, because you hand a very personal document over, and they're in it a lot. You wonder, what if she calls back and says, I hate it. This thing was ready to go to the printer. So, and I actually had a young guy help me with it, a guy named Steve Ketman, who I put on the cover with me. He actually had written Jose Canseco's book with him called Juiced, you know, all about the steroid use. Well, I spent a year on this, and I say Ketman went from writing about steroids to needing steroids. He spent a year with me. But anyway, so about 2 weeks later, the book comes back, and Hillary calls me up, and Hillary, did you like the book? Loved the book, Terry. And I just got some comments. So it comes back in a big old thing, every page, nothing of substance, but she proofread the entire book. So I said to Ketman, how do you like being proofread by the junior senator and maybe next president of the United States of America? But of course, every page, there was a comma added or I mean, vintage Hillary, of course, you know, president skimmed through it. But I tell some great stories, you know, obviously about the Clintons in the book, and I tell some great stories, but, you know, talk about, you know, what we needed to do as a party. When I was chairman of the party, as many of you know, I took over a party that was $18 million in debt. We had no headquarters to speak of. We were spending millions renting space to a Republican landlord who would take our money, turn around and give it to the Republican National Committee. I'm not kidding. Not a good way to run a business. And when I became chairman, you know the size of our voter file? The National Party, Al Gore had just gotten 50 million votes. Do you know what the size of our voter file was? 0. We didn't have one. Republicans had 140 million names. So I went out and said, all right, that's it. I said, well, we got to get internet. Oh, we can't bring internet in because the building's too old and it can't handle the cabling. I said, that's it. So I said, we're going to start from scratch. So we blew everything up. I went out and raised $40 million in a couple months and built a new headquarters. We went out and purchased a 175 million name data file, which we now have at the DNC, to the point that they passed McCain-Feingold and they said the DNC would be ruined. In '04, and the first time in our history, we actually raised more money than the Republican National Committee through all the new technology. Through all the great new technology, and when I handed the party over to Howard, I gave him a new building, no debt for the first time in the history of our party, and millions of dollars in the bank, and to get ourselves ready for this '08 election. I talk a lot about that in the book, but I think the fun stories are with the Clintons. I had such a great experience with them. I talk a lot about card playing. As you know, I don't have to tell you folks, Bill Clinton never sleeps. Up all night. If he has someone to talk to, he'll be up there all night with you talking. It is what it is, and playing cards, and my wife would say, I'm going to bed, and he'll say, I'm going to bed, and he and I talk about golf, two big male egos, lightning, thunder, all around us. I wasn't going to say, Mr. President, do you want to quit? And he certainly wasn't going to say it, so it was like the movie Caddyshack with lightning coming down all around us on the greens, and we're holding our clubs up. But I talk about one great story. He and I went to Korea in 1999. I had served as an ambassador of a trade mission over there in '93, so I went back with him, and Hillary wasn't on the trip, and it was a big state dinner, and I went to the state dinner with the president. And at the end of the dinner, we come out, walk down the stairs, and say goodbye to President Kim and all the Marine Guards. We get in the limousine, go back to the Hyatt Regency, and he's up in the presidential suite, and about 10 o'clock at night. And so the president says, Mac, you want to come play some cards? I said, sure. So I go up to the presidential suite with him, and we play cards from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. And I finally look at my watch and I said, Mr. President, we have breakfast in 2 hours, He said, all right, we better get a shower then. That's the closest I could say to, you want to stop. So I walk out of the door of the presidential suite, hundreds of United States Secret Service and hundreds of Korean, obviously most important man in the world, there to protect him on foreign soil. I say hello to the agents, and I go down for 2 hours, shower. I come back up at 8 o'clock, and I go in the presidential suite, and there he is, and the president's doubled over. He's laughing so hard. I said, Mr. President, what happened? He said, you're not going to believe what happened. After I left last night, we actually got the cable. The Korean intelligence sent a cable to their headquarters, alleging that they could extort the United States of America and have leverage over us, and alleged that the President of the United States had spent the entire evening with a young, handsome, his male lover. Well, the male lover was me. Now, you can say a lot of things about Bill Clinton and I. That ain't one of them. So, it was just a hoot, the idea that, the Koreans just weren't used to the two guys in playing cards all night. I'd tell another one of my international stories. Yasser Arafat was head of the PLO, the top of the terrorist organization. I had been to Israel many times. I knew all the prime ministers. And he was coming to Washington, and he called a friend of mine, Hani Masri, who was born in Nablus, but is a U.S. citizen for 35 years. And he said, this guy McAuliffe, I know he's good friends with Clinton, and I know he's in Israel a lot. Could I have dinner with him so I can explain my side of the Middle East peace agreement? So Hani calls me up, and I say, sure. I will meet with anybody at any time. I love people, love talking to them. So he comes to Washington. We go to the Prime Rib restaurant in Washington. It's on K Street. And I've never seen anything security like it. More than the President of the United States, they shut K Street down. And so we go into dinner. It's my wife and I and Hanny and the Chairman Arafat and his political advisor. And guys with like M16s and Uzis lining around the table. A little hard to eat your food and everybody's got guns aimed at you, but whatever. So we sit down, and the chairman is right next to me, and he starts talking to me and telling stories. Hello, Bruce. So I look at they like the voice of God up there. Give Bruce Lindsay a great round of applause up there. So as we're sitting there, Chairman Arafat starts talking, and as he starts to tell me a story, he reaches under the table and proceeds to rub my leg up and down. Now, if you're into that, that's fine. It's just, men normally don't rub my leg under the table at dinner. It's just, Irish Catholic, it ain't my deal. But if you're into that, fine. But talk about a scary experience. So I can't explain it any other way, sir. And the picture of it, it's in the book. Not the leg rubbing, but us at the dinner table. For an hour and a half, he proceeds to rub my leg up and down. Now, my wife's sitting across me dying laughing. She knows what's going on, how uncomfortable. What do you do, though? He's this big guy, got all these guns. You don't get up and pop them. So I did my best. I kept trying to scoot my chair back farther and farther. So at the end of the dinner, Chairman Arafat gets up, and I put my hand out. I said, oh, this was a great dinner, Mr. Chairman. And he pushes my hand aside and proceeds to give me a big wet kiss on the lips. And all I could think of is, what would the nuns at St. Anne's think of their boy now? I just didn't know what to do. So that was my little piece for Middle East peace and what I had to do to help. So I've got a lot of great, fun stories like that in the book. It's been a great experience. But, as I say, I've been doing this a long time, and I just look back on what Bill Clinton, and I want to thank everybody here in Arkansas, what Bill Clinton did for this nation. And you look, the 22 million new jobs, the budget surplus, 2 years of surpluses, $5.6 trillion projected surplus for 10 years, peace around the world, Northern Ireland, stopped the genocide in Kosovo and Bosnia, 100,000 new cops on the street, 100,000 new teachers in the class. Folks, it is unbelievable. And that's why, as you know, Bill Clinton left office with the highest approval rating of any second-term president in the history of our country, 66%. Reagan was 65. I always like to remind the Republicans of that. People forget that. And I actually have 2 pages in the book of just all of his accomplishments. And it truly is extraordinary. So I'm here today to say thank you from all of us from other parts of the country for giving us Bill Clinton and allowing the great job he did as President of the United States of America. And I want to thank you for Hillary, and to think we're going to have the next President of the United States of America. She spent over 20 years of her life here in Arkansas. It truly is extraordinary. I don't know if it's in your water. I don't know, General, the President was Attorney General. You going too someday? Huh? Jim Guy Tucker, you were Attorney General too, weren't you? Stepping stone here, folks, I tell you. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming out today. Let me open this up, and you can ask me any questions you want about the campaign. But folks, it is an exciting time. The first time since 1952 we haven't had an incumbent president or vice president on the ticket. Think of that. So this thing is wide open. We got a long way to go. We're running like we're down, but it looks good because you know why? People are getting to know Hillary the way you folks know Hillary. And for 15 years, people say, oh, her negatives were high. Of course they were high. They've said everything about her on all the radio and TV. I mean, this woman has been accused of everything, as we know. Mass murder and, partners with Michael Vick on the dog deal. I mean, she wasn't. I'm just teasing. But on the right-wing stuff, it's all out there. You know what? She has handled it with grace and charm. And you know what? She is a special woman. Now the rest of the country is getting to know Hillary the way we all do. And that's why it's exciting. It'll be a spectacular year for us in 2008. Not only the White House. If I'm a betting man today, I bet you we win 5 new seats in the United States Senate. We look great in Virginia for a pickup. We look great in New Hampshire for a pickup. If Bob Kerrey runs, we're great in Nebraska. We're up in Colorado today. We have a new open in New Mexico. Washington State, huge opportunity for us. Idaho, I don't know. I would assume, watching your shoes, Idaho, anything could happen. So we got a long way to go in this thing, and then I think we pick up probably 20 seats in the House. It's exciting.